the Evolution Security Podcast.
We're excited to be offering our 16-hour defensive pistol and combatives and weapons integration course in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the 19th and 20th of November, 2022. Defensive pistol is a course focusing on a fundamental defensive pistol platform from the holster, moving into dynamic shooting principles, along with a primer in close quarters firing solutions. You will leave this class having a solid concealed carry shooting platform and also, most importantly, how to practice. The Combatives and Weapons Integration class provides the client with a foundational understanding of self-protection techniques and tactics that can prepare you for dealing with and surviving a violent assault. This class has a foundation in wrestling and jiu-jitsu and is for any practitioner of any body type or age. Lastly, at the end of the day, there will be a light validation exercise, or in other words, a light force-on-force evolution with a blue gun or a training blade, providing confidence in the techniques learned. To sign up for this course or for more information, go to the Eventbrite link in the show notes or go to our website at evosec.org and look in current events.
All right, bro. Who was that kick-ass band just playing then?
Man, I don't know. Maybe it's those Tactical Twins.
Yeah, well, that is a new tune, and it is called Please Don't Ban My Body Armor.
Yeah. That's a fun tune, man. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. You know, I think it was just last weekend I recorded a couple of riffs into my phone and sent them to you and said, hey, I'm going to record this. I think it was Friday. And then I gave those tracks to you, and you put your tracks down either Saturday or Sunday, I think.
Yep.
Producing music like that is actually a lot of work.
It is, and you mentioned doing my tracks, and we'll introduce this show real quick. But yeah, I was a little frustrated, as I get sometimes. I know you do too. But I was like, man, I don't like the track, and then you step away from it, and then you're like, yeah, I kind of like it. I was playing around. It's been a long time since I wanted to do anything with 30-second notes, and so I was like, I'm gonna add a little bit of 30-second stuff in this, little tasteful things, not anything crazy, and that was fun.
Well, you had a great groove on there, and just say this real quick, and then we can get into the meat of our topic here. But the thing that takes me the longest is whenever I get the tracks, and then I have to start mixing it and producing it. If people heard the raw tracks, they're recordings of really, really good instruments. Like I recorded with one of my custom Carolan amps, and I think I played on that as my Telecaster. I mean, great instruments, great amps. But even straight to the recording, there's a lot of stuff you have to do processing-wise to all the frequencies. There's nothing fake in there, but it's just getting the frequencies boosted or cut or cleaned up, and yeah, it's actually a lot of work. The easiest part for me on that is writing the music and recording it.
Yeah. I'm glad I don't have to mess with much other than recording the drums.
Well, that's good enough for me because I can't play the drums. So, well, bro, let's welcome our audience. I failed to do that. Thank you, everybody, for coming on and listening to the Evolution Security Podcast. This is a blast for Eric and I to do this show for you and, frankly, for us. So thank you for joining us. And just a real quick plug for you to please share the show and go on to iTunes and rate it and review it. That really helps us a lot. So we would really appreciate it. So, Eric, one of the things I wanted to talk about was body armor. And of course, a side note, as civilians owning body armor. You know, unfortunately, anti-Second Amendment politicians and advocates jump on the opportunity when there's these tragic events where mass murderers use guns to kill people. Of course, it doesn't get much more tragic than that, but they use those opportunities to push their anti-self-defense. Now, let me focus on that. Anti-self-defense agenda. And of course, that's why we're talking about body armor, because it is innately self-defense, right, Eric?
Absolutely.
So what I have here, I wanted to just take a look at now. Right after that terrible shooting in Buffalo at that supermarket last May, that was no exception. They jumped right on that to New York, of course, passed some legislation, including some body armor legislation and a few other things. And then in the House, there was a bill that was introduced by Grace Ming, who is Democrat representative from New York District 6. So this is the bill HR 8147, and it's referred to as the Aaron Salter Jr. Responsible Body Armor Possession Act. Now, I know that, Eric, just one thing to note, we know that we do have people that vote Democrat in the audience, and man, that's awesome. We want you guys along with us too, but
we absolutely welcome them, certainly.
The problem, though, is when we talk about politics, we said we aren't going to apologize for the politics, but we do focus on one thing politically, and it's the concept of our Second Amendment rights and our self-defense rights. But here's one thing that is demonstrably true. Unfortunately, anti-Second Amendment legislation nearly always comes from Democrats and is nearly always 100% co-sponsored. Now, I know there's some Republicans that come along, but I'm going to take a stab at saying they're Democrats that couldn't get elected in their particular district unless they put the R by their name. You know, maybe that's not true, but hey, I'm just speculating. I've got my own opinion here. But like, for instance, in this particular bill, H.R. 8147, it's co-sponsored by 23 people, and every single one of them was a Democrat. And a lot of them are from New York, naturally, you know, being that Grace Ming is from New York and in response to a New York shooting or mass murder. So I'm just going to read real quick what this states. The bill says it's to prohibit the purchase, ownership, or possession of enhanced body armor by civilians, with exceptions. This act may be cited as the Aaron Salter Jr. Responsible Body Armor Possession Act. Now, what this, of course, states in, so of course it says to ban the purchase, ownership, or possession of enhanced body armor by civilians. But there are exceptions. And it says in subsection B, this shall not apply to, one, a purchase, ownership, or possession by or under the authority of the United States or any department or agency of the United States, or a state or department, agency, or political subdivision of a state, or lastly, number two, a covered law enforcement officer, or this enhanced body armor that was lawfully possessed by any person at any time before the date this section takes effect.
So, Aaron, essentially, yeah, if you own it now, you're likely okay, which we always say on this show that we don't celebrate any of that. You know, of course, we own body armor, but you know what? Body armor has a shelf life, by gosh. You know,
That's true.
And so the other aspect of that is when I hear statements like that in bills like that, is I see it as like that it sounds about as elitist and authoritarian as it could be. They carve out the fact that no, it can be owned by the government or government agencies. And interestingly enough, Aaron, and I don't want to go too far into this, there's another bill that I'm a little half-cocked on that is a 20% tax on semi-automatic rifles. And, of course, they carve out that it doesn't count against the government, you know. So it's like, yeah, but anyway, go ahead, please.
And I'm assuming this is a bill that has been or is being introduced in the House.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the federal Congress.
And again, I come half cocked because I just glanced at it today, and it's a congressman out of New York, and of course, I District 12. I'm forgetting his name. No big deal.
Well, there's 435 of those guys and gals, so I'm sorry I don't remember all their names.
Yep.
So there was one point I wanted to make here, but it may come back to me. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to echo, that very fact that it shall not apply to the United States or any department or agency of the United States or a state or a department, agency, political, listen to that, political subdivision of a state. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know.
Would that be the IRS or an agency like that? I guess.
I think it could apply. I think they throw out an ambiguous title so that it can be used blanketly, you know, to agencies that may not be founded yet, because you know they're always trying to stand up new agencies.
That's a good point. Now, real quick, so we have enhanced body armor defined. The term enhanced body armor means body armor, including a helmet or a shield, the ballistic resistance of which meets or exceeds the ballistic performance of Type 3 armor. Determining, okay, did I say that exceeds the ballistic performance? Yeah, so it meets or exceeds Type 3, Level 3, and determining using such a standard as the National Institute of Justice has an effect at the time at which a person purchases, owns, or possesses such armor. And here we always like to see what the penalty is if you break this federal law. Whoever knowingly violates Section 932 shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both. So let me make clear, right? This is a bill. It's introduced. It has, right now, it has a low chance of maybe even getting to a vote. I don't know. But these bills, even if they're just sitting in the docket introduced, they are an election away from being passed.
Yeah, Aaron, let me add something to that. Just kind of double down on what you're saying there. That is where there is always the risk is that an election away, things could change so drastically that it could easily happen to where, you know, worst case scenario, the Senate goes all Democrat 60 seats. I mean, that's a far fetched. It is. But if they keep these bills ready to roll, and this say that ever happens, and with the shenanigans, I don't care if people think that just because there were cowardly judges and secretaries of state that did not want to deal with the fraud. Then we're not saying that the election would have went the other way necessarily, but there was a lot of shenanigans. All you have to do is look at some of the video footage in Fulton County.
You don't, and it doesn't have to be conspiracy theory. There were most certainly legal proceedings that were in favor of one party or not over the other. That's enough to be said about that. But yes, these bills are a election away, and especially in the Senate. And of course, what they have talked about, right, is trying to, or possibly getting rid of the filibuster rule.
Oh yeah, Aaron, that's exactly what I was about to say. Is that the filibuster? I mean, they've used the nuclear option before, and I mean, it's just a breath away from that. They keep talking about it. I mean, and it is only a rule.
Yep,
it is a rule. Now the problem is that politically that's a bad thing if they
for both parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
I mean the Senate is intended to be the deliberative body of the legislature. You know, it's supposed to be seen as where the bills really slow down and a deliberate process, and it's intended to take that supermajority for a bill to pass. You know, that's what the Constitution intended.
Yeah, it's not about passing bills super fast whenever there's, the political whims.
Yeah, Aaron, hey, we're in gridlock. We need to get things done. No, our founding fathers intended the process to be, actually, they intended to be way more deliberative and way slower than it is now for that very purpose.
Yeah.
They didn't want the society swinging at the whims of the mob, through chaotic.
Well, and if you really think about it, you wouldn't want a mob on either side.
Neither. Nope.
Right? Oh well. Yeah, we're digging too deep in there, right? We just said we were going to stick to Second Amendment, but we are.
Go for it.
That's still germane to Second Amendment because we're concerned about possible bills passing when power changes hands or gets more enhanced or in one side's hands. Not spitting that out very well, but you get the gist. So
Certainly.
real quick, I am also going to read an article that I found from a website called Stateline, and it's a part of the Pew Institute. Now, I'll have to say this is a pretty fairly balanced article. So, I mean, I liked it pretty well because it gave a couple of both sides of this in some pretty measured ways. But what I'm concerned with, right, is the attitude of people that want to stop us from having body armor to protect ourselves in case 4 people kick in the door, right? We'll talk about that here in a minute. But so this article, it's by Caitlin Dewey, and it's entitled "After Mass Shootings, Lawmakers Weigh Body Armor Bans." And it's actually, I believe, this reporter is in the New York area. So Buffalo, New York calls for new gun New York calls for new gun restrictions, inevitably following most American mass shootings, including the one that killed 10 people at a Buffalo supermarket 6 weeks ago. But in the wake of the top supermarket massacre, legislators here and in several other states also have turned their attention to a new target: civilian body armor. Such equipment, including helmets, bulletproof vests, and armor plates, is designed to protect soldiers and law enforcement officers in the line of duty. Until recently, however, no state but Connecticut had restricted how ordinary citizens, get that, ordinary citizens, buy and sell military-grade tactical gear. The armor has, critics say, empowered violent criminals, including mass shooters, to return fire at law enforcement and extend their rampages. Over the past 20 years, sales of body armor, like sales of guns and ammunition, have grown steadily among the general population, said Aaron Westrick, a professor of criminal justice at Lake Superior State University, who has worked extensively with body armor companies and law enforcement, noting that the sale of body armor has complicated some procedures for police officers who now must train to shoot around body armor, and alarmed some lawmakers and advocates who question why so many Americans now own tactical gear intended for combat. So this article goes on to say that the mass murderer in Buffalo had a vest on that they believe allowed him to continue his attack even after being shot by a store security guard, retired police officer Aaron Salter Jr., which, remember, that's the gentleman that they named that bill after in Congress, who was killed. According to the Violence Project, a nonpartisan research center, they say 21 mass shooters in the past 40 years have worn body armor. Now, of course, I'm not sure how those statistics were gathered, but if that's true, just think about how little that's been used, and especially how liberal they call, they label things mass shootings.
Statistically insignificant is my words for that.
They're tragic, but
yeah. I'm just saying the usage of the armor.
Yeah, definitely. So now I'm going to skip through this article down to where they're talking about restrictions. Few existing restrictions in this section. Lawmakers have attempted to regulate body armor before, but without much success. In 2019, Democratic U.S. lawmakers in the House and Senate proposed two separate federal body armor bills that never made it to a vote. New York State has also repeatedly considered but never adopted a proposal to create a central registry of body armor sales and distributors. Now that's scary. But this time, however, proponents have been bolstered by the back-to-back tragedies, like I said, in Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas, where both gunmen wore some type of tactical gear. In Buffalo, a set of law enforcement-grade hard armor plates saved the shooter from a bullet that police say might have ended the attack. In Uvalde, now this is interesting, Eric, the gunman wore a plate carrier vest without plates in it. But legislatures have, quote, nonetheless said it illustrates the threat of mass shooters and body armor. Isn't that goofy?
Oh, well, they're gonna latch on to anything that they can use to justify their means, right? Yeah, that's ridiculous, but that's leftist for you.
Well, I think this gets across what we're talking about. There's, like any gun legislation, right? This article, there's several things that are basically tempering a lot of what's said against body armor, but in a nutshell, the article does say it's an unlikely deterrent, as we know.
Well, Aaron, could I add to what I feel are germane comments about this? So, two things. One, let's imagine for a second that you have an individual that lives in let's just say, a rough part of either New York City or Chicago or Minneapolis, and all they want to do is live their lives. But there's been a rash of shootings in the area, and they decide, you know what, I feel so unsafe, I want to wear body armor. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to wear it when I'm between, my house and my job. A lot of people have to walk to their jobs, so on and so forth. So, number one, we have the Democrats supporting taking that capabilities, which that very well may be the minorities that they swear to protect. And then secondly, I find this very interesting, is that it's the new vogue thing to support the Ukrainians, the civilian Ukrainians, with both being able to defend themselves and help defend their nation with firearms and armor. And we're sending billions of dollars over there to help them with that very thing. And yet they want to take that from us. I just find that rather rich,
We're honored to have Keeper's Concealment as a sponsor of the show. If you have a modern appendix carry holster, it was probably influenced by their original keeper. So you owe it to yourself to check out what they have to offer for your EDC needs. Also, Spencer Keepers is a top-notch trainer. I've taken his AIWB skills class and highly recommend it. Go to keepersconcealment.com where you can buy a holster, sign up for one of his excellent classes, or inquire about hosting him in your town. For any Keeper's Concealment products, use Evo Twins at checkout for 10% off. Also, Keeper's Concealment is a proud affiliate of CCW Safe. They offer proven legal defense coverage if you had to defend yourself against a lethal threat. Go to keepersconcealment.com/CCW-safe to find coverage that meets your needs.
Let's talk about an awesome training opportunity. We are super pumped to be hosting John Murphy of FPF Training for his Street Encounters, Skills, and Tactics class the 5th and 6th of November 2022 just outside Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This class will teach life-saving material to include Stop the Bleed Medical, Pre-Encounter Management, Pre-Assault, Proper Pepper Spray Use and Deployment, Essential Shooting Skills, Scenario-Based Decision-Making, Post-Fight, and more. For tickets, go to our show notes and find the class link, or go to John's website, fpftraining.com, and look for the class in his course calendar.
One of the main reasons why we are on this topic is because of these calls to ban body armor from several sources, and including the federal government and mainly New York, which New York is a far cry from Oklahoma, but federal government, of course, is not. So in response to that, I thought, okay, it's time for me to get some body armor. And so I put together a body armor rig. Now, let's be really clear. Maybe some people don't. Maybe some people think it's kind of goofy to have armor plates and a plate carrier in the home. I'm telling you, if I have time to get, number one, to the firearm that I want, and this is in the event of a home invasion, right? Which does happen.
Absolutely.
Happens every single day in this country.
With multiple assailants.
And the reason why there's multiple, because when they invade in the middle of the night, they're already brazen enough to come into a house they know has individuals in it that may or may not be armed. That's why they come armed, right? So if I have time, I'm getting one of my ARs, probably my AR pistol, and I'm going to put my body armor. And if my kids are not home, I'm hunkering down with my body armor on and waiting with my door locked and waiting to see if someone tries to kick in the door and I've got that fatal funnel, but I'm also protected in my vitals with that body armor.
Yeah. You're standing up your stronghold and your ambush point. Absolutely.
I mean, that's just a real basic usage, but that is a very valid, very innocent usage, and I don't want that possibility taken away from me. But yet they don't like the proles having the capability of that. It just, because, I mean, this article spoke about the reason why they bring these up is because, again, they think it's a policy that they can push through. They literally called it a fallback policy. A Democrat politician called it that, a fallback policy. But so, Eric, now let's set aside the serious politics. Unless
well, Aaron, if
I
could add just one. I'm sorry, buddy. Just if I could add one more point to what you said, and that is that, Aaron, you and I and all the people like us that train, we have capabilities, we have equipment, we are also assets still to this nation in the event of an invasion. And if people think that we can't be invaded, Alaska was invaded, the Hawaii was attacked. You know, it is not far-fetched that if a foreign country, a first world country, believes that we're weak enough at a certain point that they would invade this nation, hey, we are part of the national defense, whether the left understands that, likes it or not. But that's what the militia was about. And go ahead.
Or bare minimum, Eric, defend our home for a night.
I think that is the most important aspect go ahead.
People will hear us talking about this, and like you said, you can't assume that this country and the security situation of this entire country will always be like it is. Just think how much this world has changed in the last 2 years.
Yep.
But I have no dream that I'm going to turn into Rambo or Chris Kyle and just go gung ho and defend my home, like a ninja.
Exactly.
A ninja with the firearm. But you know what? In that improbable but possible scenario, to be able to protect my house from maybe some lone enemy soldiers going down the street looking to cause problems for families, which they do in every single war. Right?
Russia's been doing it in the Ukraine.
Right. So that is another reason to be able to choose to put together an armor system like this. Now, Eric, you, of course, helped me put together an armor rig. And I figured, man, we could talk about our armor real quick.
Let's do it.
So hold on just 1 second. Let me grab it. Okay.
That looks super light, man. I mean, you lifted that up like there was no problem.
Bro, it's super light. And I also have 2 magazines full right here.
I'm jealous of those lightweight plates, man.
Okay, so I'll go down the list here real quick. So thanks to you, I chose the Cry JPC 2.0 minimalist plate carrier. Now, I believe that's a jumpable plate carrier, right? Isn't that what that stands for?
And that's what they say, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I also added some high-speed gear tacos for a couple of extra mags. Now, one thing I like to say, this is one of those situations where it's like batteries are not included. I didn't realize that I needed a molly patch right here so that I could mount my magazines on the front, which I just placed them here for the heck of it until that molly patch comes in.
Mm-hmm.
All for the fun of it. I didn't want tactical tan or tactical FBI black. So man, I figured I would get black multicam. I think it's pretty cool.
I like that. Me too, man. Looks great.
So the plates I got are shot stop polyethylene, and of course sappy plates. Now they are rated and called they're level 3 plus PA multi-curve. Now each of them weighs just 2.7 pounds, and they are 0.7 inches thick. So they're really freaking light. Now
and fairly thin. And those polyethylene, man, I got to get me a pair.
Did I miss? Is it polyethylene? I misspoke.
Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron. I certainly wasn't trying to correct you. I didn't know.
No.
I believe it's pronounced polyethylene.
Okay. Well, so I definitely am not planning on gearing this thing up like I'm, an operator. I think all I'll probably ever have on this is a couple of extra mags on the front and probably a tourniquet on the shoulder, and that's it. I mean, again, my main purpose is to throw it on in the middle of the night if I have time, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now I found this interesting. So essentially, this level 3 plus is basically their website rates it for 308. Now, but what I did find is a pretty cool video by John Lovell from Warrior Poet Society. He did a really cool video. He likes these plates too, and now of course it's not scientific testing, but you know what, Eric, is also not scientific? When people start shooting at your plates. It's not controlled, right?
Exactly. There's lots of variations.
Yes. So I just kind of wanted to go through what he threw at it. And, it was just shooting at his plate, destroying it. But so, like I said, it's rated at 308, but he starts out kind of small. He shoots it with a pistol, 9mm. Of course, it does nothing. Then he shot it 5 times with 55 grain ball ammo from his 223, and he shot those 5 shots in one area about the size of a fist, and they didn't break through.
Meaning multi hit.
Yes, and there of course was a pretty good bulge, but still, nonetheless, it didn't defeat it. Now, then he hit it with a 6.5 Creedmoor. Didn't go through. Then he hit it with a 12-gauge Winchester slug.
Ouch.
That didn't go through. But I'll tell you what, man. It put a huge bulge in. I guarantee you that'd be sending you to the hospital with a broken sternum. And then finally, he hit it with some green tip. The steel core, I guess you call them semi-armor piercing, but yeah,
it's a penetrator. It's tungsten steel penetrator.
Yeah, well, and it did not. This armor did not stop that.
Yep.
But he mentioned someone that was a pretty hot SWAT operator, and in all his engagement had never seen anybody with any green tip. Or I'm I'm sure he would know about that. But long story short, we're not trying to protect against everything here. I wanted a light set of armor, a good plate carrier, and that I could keep minimalist, and that's going to protect me from almost anything that I would ever come in contact with. Let's just be frank. The worst we'd probably ever come in contact with in something like that would be an AR 223.
Yeah, or
More than likely,
or
it's
an
just
AK
pistols.
7.62
Yeah, that's true.
39. And
Which this will protect against.
and a ball 308 protects up to ball 308. So, yeah. I mean, I'd say that's a good broad range of protection. And let's face it, mobility is very important as well. If you have to get on the move, so that's a factor as well.
Sure. If I really wanted to, protect against 50 caliber, I probably need about 4 of these plates. So I don't think I'm going that far. That's not scientific either.
Hold that up again. Let me see that there. Yeah, that's slick, man. I like it.
I mean, that's one thing that I can't put it on over my headphones, but some other plate carriers were kind of hard to get on that I've tried. This one's really easy to put on. So I'm digging it, man. And again, thanks to you. I know quite a bit of stuff about, pistol shooting, and I usually don't have to call you about that stuff. But when it comes to this, I either call you our partner, Brian, who we haven't had on in a long time, Punk.
Shout out to Brian out there. Yep.
Our great friend, Brian. And I just call one of you guys, and I get a big list of exactly what I need, and that's what I just go by usually.
Cool.
Now,
Awesome.
Now, I will say this. I did not realize how much money I was going to drop on this.
Aaron, what's funny is that when you first asked me, I always stand by the buy once, cry once.
Oh, yeah.
And you do the majority of the time. Every now and then we'll renege on that some, but for the most part. And I was honestly being very delicate in the way that I convinced you to get that particular rig. And I'm just glad that you ended up, biting on that particular rig, because I think you're going to be happy with it.
Well, bro, let's just put it this way. I've got a solid BCM rifle in this thing.
Yeah.
But so I got this, and just to nip it in the bud, I'm going to put a set together for my wife. And, I know they have a shelf life, but hey, worst case scenario, I can give these to my kids if things get pretty bad legislative wise.
Absolutely. Well, I guess I can grab mine.
A good thing you're a heavy lifter, because I think you have to.
Yeah, mine's a little, but it still looks like I'm picking up yours though.
Well, because you're twice as strong as me.
No, I'm playing with you, bro. I don't know about that, but let me try to get this to where I can also speak with the microphone here.
Yeah, hopefully I wasn't cutting out a lot, audience. There, I was trying to talk into the microphone.
You hear, and the sound isn't going to be as good, but you can hear how heavy these are. So this is in a JPC. Let me get in here. This is in a JPC, the original Cry JPC, and it's in multicam. And full disclosure, I've used this downrange as well. So I chose a camo pattern that fits in a little bit, but it is my personal carrier. So I won't run down this too hard, like because Aaron, you had a lot of good explanations. But yeah, it's running the level 4 ESAPIs. So they're about 7.2 pounds. I've got large in here to cover my broad chest, and but yeah, so they're a little heavier. but still, across, with a good plate carrier, still comfortable to carry. And I'm running a ITS tactical. I had here I go forgetting it again. I wrote it down. The ITS ETA IFAC is what I'm running on here, medical kit wise, and I'm running three mags in the integral. In the integral the integral panel on the front, and that's why I felt bad because Aaron, I didn't know that new one didn't have that when I first suggested it. So
Yeah, man, batteries aren't included, man.
yeah, so another better look at the Meg kit there. It's got a full IFAC kit inside and an extra tourniquet on the outside. So yeah, so that's my main rig.
So Eric, that brings up a point about, so you've got level 4, those are ceramic plates, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So, but I still find it interesting that you would like the plates that I have too, right?
Yes. For that lightweight capabilities. Now, granted, this will stop green tip. It'll stop a majority of rifle threats. So, but I'm gonna speak off the cuff. I don't think it can take as many hits as yours. I may be misspeaking. I'll double check and correct myself if need be. And here's another thing with ceramic and a little story. When I was coming back from, was it Afghanistan or Iraq? I forget which one. I was helping unload bags. And this soldier, we've all been traveling for close to 3 days, leaving theater, and I'm jumping up in the back. I know I'm a civilian now, but I'm gonna help these soldiers unload all the bags out of the truck. Then this soldier starts throwing bags out of the back, and we're talking A bags, B bags that's got armor in them for the soldiers in there and know what I'm talking about. And these ceramic plates cannot take being thrown like that. and unfortunately, I said, "Hey, Sergeant, you cannot throw those bags." And we went back and forth, and it was like this guy he wanted to start a fight with me. And but full disclosure, I just said, "Hey, brother, go ahead and empty the bags. I'm done. I'm gonna find my way towards the plane out of here." So,
Jeez.
yeah, but anyway, yeah, you can't throw these plates around, and they do have a shelf life too. Both of them do, and I'm not going to quote the shelf life because I don't have that off the top of my head.
It seems like mine are 15 years.
Yeah, yep. So that's my rig.
Awesome.
Now I will say, I have the Meg kit. I do keep, I didn't pull it out, I do keep a little bit of food in the top of it. And I've intended to put a small Camelback on the back. I know it's outfitting a little bit, but just to have a little bit of water on it. I do have a little bit of food in the front, but.
So, bro, when you were overseas, did you don that thing about every time you left?
Aaron, honestly, it depends on the threat level at the time. My last 2 deployments, the threat level was fairly low. Now, like in Afghanistan, like 2010, we were having to wear armor a lot because we were getting incoming quite often. But this last trip to Iraq in 2020, folks may remember that Iran had launched some rockets into Saudi Arabia, and then of course Iran supports a lot of the insurgency in Iraq, and so they kind of picked up things a little bit in Iraq, and we got hit a couple of times with rockets, but again, they don't aim very well. So most of the time in those conditions, when it's low like that, you're not walking around with armor unless you're going outside the wire, and that's a different thing altogether. But in my current job, I don't have to do that very often at all. So just full disclosure.
Yeah, just curious.
Now, if you're traveling, different when you're traveling, you're wearing armor. Either methods. If you're traveling by vehicle or if you're traveling by air, you're wearing armor.
Interesting. Well, bro, you want to keep this gear thing going on?
Let's roll.
We had an idea to kind of run down our EDC again. We haven't done that in a while, and I think some of it's changed. But again, I think it'd be fun to go down. You wanna start out?
I sure can.
Was there anything else you want to cover here, real quick, before we jump towards?
No, man. I think we were thinking we were going to keep this at an hour, but we're just now getting to the EDC. But that's okay. Yeah, we
can run through it pretty quick, man.
Oh yeah. So my EDC wise, and I kind of like to just call it my carry rig. EDC. I don't poo poo on that term. It's what people know it as, everyday carry. But frankly, I think Aaron, you'll agree. This term everyday carry, there's an ebb and flow. Would you agree? Now, what I'm gonna enunciate is my primary carry rig, and it does change, just flexes a little bit, but there's some primary themes that are always the same. So, at first, so I'm running a Claris E1. Now, I have full disclosure because I don't want everybody to run out and buy specific items. Folks can try these out. The Claris is there's been some quality control every now and then with them, but I will tell you, I love this light for a couple of reasons, and that's number one, it's got 1,000 lumens, and it's got a strobe paddle. But that also I can use utilitarian. Oops, let me get that back down. So I can get it down to 20 lumens. Cool. And also, I won't spend every single item getting into detail, but it's got refuelable, rechargeable fuel via this little USB port, this 1865 battery. So rechargeable, kind of dig that. I'll just keep in that pocket. And so this is a wallet that I learned about from, I covered up the stuff in there just to be a little more safer. I like these small front pocket wallets, keeping the back issues at bay, and, especially traveling overseas a lot, that goes good in the front, and that's from the Violent Little Machine Shop is where I got that little Kydex
cool.
wallet. Okay, so that empties that pocket. Other than in many cases, not all cases, but still, Aaron, I'm still a proponent of a clean pocket. I drop this mag in, right?
Yep.
Less lethal. Have to have less lethal. I think that our audience hears this all the time from us. This is something I very seldom do not have on my body, and this is Palm pepper spray. I love this safety on here. So Palm. Would you agree that this is crucial comms? This is just isn't my iPhone. This is actual comms, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's a iPhone, and not all the time, but a good percentage of the time, Aaron, I'm carrying Bluetooth earbuds. So there's a tactical advantage for this, right? So if something's taken place, I can easily place this earbud in my ear, and I keep the earbuds on sound through, and I'm probably messing up the term, to where it doesn't impede my hearing, but I can also call 911 or call a family member, so on and so forth, and have this. And then they will also attenuate sound, so you can see them as kind of at least a little bit of a benefit for hearing protection.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that, man. That's cool.
And let's say you're a set of parents and you've got a kid that's missing at a concert or the fair, and you guys both have these. You can place these in your ear, open up a call, lock it, put it in your pocket, and you've got open comms, with your teammate. So
That's
kind
cool.
of a cool application there.
Eric, you've made me think about some EDC items I don't have with me. So you keep going. I'll be right back.
Cool.
Keep going.
So on my back pocket, I am running, this is my utility knife. This is for, food, cutting boxes, anything that I'm using this for. You know the deal. A pocket knife is a crucial tool. And this is a Spyderco Native 5 that I'm running here in T-coat, in black T-coat, that is. And this knife has been really good to me. So that's my folder. So I'm gonna.
You really are pulling this stuff out of your pockets, huh?
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull my lethal out because it's just the order that I've got here. So pulling out my main EDC, and this is cleared this before, and this is a Gen 5 Glock 19. I'm running a Holosun 507C with Ameriglow backup sights. I'm running a KKM drop-in match-grade barrel for one main reason, so I can run lead reloads through it for practice. I've got an Overwatch trigger. Love that trigger.
Oh, yeah.
And I've got my my home stippling job there. This rig runs real well. Of course, the most I guess the test was just recently at the Range Master Advanced class. I ran this pistol in that class.
You were rocking with it too.
Thank you, buddy. So were you. I had to prepare for it because you've alluded to it before. I wasn't shooting a lot before that class. I was paying attention to my jiu-jitsu. I'm running and I go between the Khartoum and the Velo, but I still love the Velo 4 and T1 clips. So there's my holster. Good old Tenacor holsters, and running the Tenacor Zero belt, which Aaron demonstrated using this.
And by the way, can you hear my cat Judah meowing at the door?
I can actually. So the Zero belt's what supports my all this stuff. Some people can say, "Man, that's a bunch of stuff you're carrying." But a good belt, we always say quality belt is crucial, and the Tenacor Zero belt is where it's at in many cases. And full disclosure, Tenacor is a sponsor, as folks know, but
they're a sponsor after we asked them to be a sponsor after we got into their gear. So yeah,
that's what you beat me to it. We were using Tenacor gear before Jeff and his company were sponsors. So my defensive knife is the venerable clinch pick, designed by Craig Douglas, good friend and very, very important coach and mentor.
Yes.
And this here...
Isn't that a Bang Tang, bro?
No, this one isn't a Bang Tang. This is actually a Trace Rinaldi, which... rest in peace, Trace passed away. So folks that know the lineage of the clinch pick, this was the original semi-custom line. So
Cool.
Yep. So that's my defensive blade. Okay, where we got here. So personally, Aaron, I like to carry a pin with me most of the time. So I even on my T-shirt, I've got a Fisher Space Pen bullet that I run.
Can you ride upside down with that?
Sure can. Been on the space shuttle
Sweet.
multiple times, and so not all the time. These are some of the. I don't always carry this pen. So the majority of the other items, of course, I do, but a good 80% of the time, I like to be able to write notes, and so those are important items for me. So, Aaron, you would probably argue that eye pro is important, right? So even though these are my Oakley sunglasses, these are also my eye pro. So that's another EDC item that I carry, and I'm trying to think, brother.
Bro, I don't have my Oakleys with me, but suffice it to say, yes, I've got my iPro Oakleys. They're out in the car. I leave them there so I don't forget them. My gas cans, I dig the heck out of those. When I got my eyes fixed, I couldn't wait to get a dual-purpose, good set of sunglasses that I could run on the range, too.
Yeah, I'm so glad for you on that, man, for sure. So, have to have medical. Now, do I always carry an ankle kit? No. Sometimes I have this reduced and it goes in my pocket. But have to shout out to Chris LaPrey.
Yeah.
A gift from Chris from this was a collaboration with Chris and Riker Tactical Nylon. This awesome, man, I forget this, and I have a lot of stuff in here. I actually probably have more than some might carry in it. Of course, the shears, the soft T wide tourniquet. I've got a nasal pharyngeal airway MPA in there. Oops, little mic bump there. Got some combat gauze. And it's all the way up in here. And I've got a set of a hyphen chest seals. And man, I'm just double checking that I'm not forgetting anything, Aaron. Always wearing a watch. This is a important EDC because this also has a compass, right? And this is my Garmin Instinct Solar. This also doubles as my heart rate monitor for my workouts. And just incidentally, I've taken wasn't part of this, but after my workout yesterday, I've got a chest strap with a Bluetooth heart rate monitor, makes it real accurate. But yeah, this watch is a handy EDC item as well. And man, I think that's about it, brother, for my primary.
Okay. Well, then, let me go down my primary then real quick. It's funny. I think we say this a lot. We're twins, so we actually kind of carry some of the same stuff, so I may not go into as much detail. Now, the one thing I wanted to start out with is, number one, my car keys, right, my key fob. But one of the neat things that I have, and let's see if we can put this on the camera, this is a little SOG multi-tool on a keychain. Now, of course, you can open your beer with it if you need to. That's always an emergency. Got a Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver. There are a handful of sockets on here. There is a knife sharpener, and I mean it's just a cool little multi-tool that has come in handy. Actually, I used it today to cut something. And then Eric, if anyone's ever seen my any of my pictures about my picks that I use.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a $40 pick. So, and I don't use that pick just for fun because I think it's cool to have an expensive pick. This is a high-tech polymer from DuPont that is a bearing surface. So it basically glides through the strings like nothing else. And I have one pick that I used primarily for 2 years, and you can barely tell that it's been used at all. So, dude, this is legit. But since it costs $40, I have this in my pocket all the time so I can keep track of one of my picks. I've only lost one of these. So I've been pretty good, and I have a handful of them. But so real quick, so here's my folder. Eric, I don't keep as much stuff on me as you do, but that's all right. So this is my folder. It's a Spyderco Dragonfly 2. Man, I never realized how much I liked a nice, smaller, sharp knife without any serrations. I dig this a lot. And then my flashlight is a small streamlight. This is a ProTac 1L. I think it's 300 lumen. It's just fine for me. I can do some good momentary with it. It's got
I
a
love
strobe.
that light. I've got one of those too, buddy. That's
And I mean,
light.
it's bright as heck, and it's pretty dang small and light, right? And same thing, always got to have the non-lethal, right, and the palm pepper spray. Guys, Eric didn't show this as much, but this, I know you showed it a little bit, but I just want to show listeners that when you put this, you can actually put the clip in your pocket, and you can actually change the way the canister faces. But you can put that on your pocket, grab it. Like I put it on my left pocket. I can grab it, and then my thumb is on that safety to deploy that thing. And it's so easy.
And I think that's crucial that folks know how, and they practice drawing. There's a lot more to it than even just that, but
Yes.
but you certainly should be practicing how to draw it so that, under the heat of some very real stress, that you can deploy it properly.
And another thing, you aren't going to get in trouble for holding your pepper spray can in your hand if things start getting a little dicey. Now, Eric, it's funny. You brought out your money clip. This is kind of fun. Now, for some reason, there's this weird green thing on my money clip. I don't know who put that there, but it says 1 on it. I don't know why there's a dollar bill on there, but I have been using the most accountant thing you could use for a money clip for decades. Good old binder clip.
Aaron, I use
That's high speed, bro.
Aaron, I've used that. I remember using a binder clip like that on a couple of trips to Thailand because I wanted to ditch a wallet. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, so I figured it'd be funny to say that's what I use for a money clip. Now, let me just jump through here real quick. I do, of course, have, again, from Chris LaPre, this awesome ankle rig. Essentially, it's a softy wide tourniquet, some Celox Z-Gauze, and some high fin chest seals. And that thing is so comfortable too.
Yeah. Forget it's there.
Yeah. So here is my primary EDC these days when, man, this is the 48 that I commandeered from my wife. Sorry, honey. You ain't getting this back. So, yeah, mine's clear too. So now this is the 48 single stack 9mm Glock. That's basically a single stack 19. Jesus's gun, the 19. I'm using this until I pull together a custom 19 that I'm going to get sometime soon. But it's got my DIY stipple job too, which, man, the border, you can make your stuff look semi-professional if you get a border tool.
Pretty sexy.
And
That's
I'm
as
running
sexy as I am.
it almost, but she's dad jokes. So, and of course, I've got the Overwatch trigger in it, which this is the polydat. I figured I would try the polydat out, and it's pretty sweet. Now, I've got, in addition to that, I do have a Ghost Edge connector that lightens this thing up. For some reason, these single stack Glocks have a little bit heavier trigger than your standard.
My 43 the same. Mm-hmm.
Reducing this just a little bit. And I'm running Holosun 507K, which, man, I love that optic. And I'm running Dawson, just straight Dawson blacked out sights that are just barely above the window, and they're perfect. And I do with this, when I'm carrying my 19, I usually don't carry an extra mag, but with this, I carry an extra mag in my pocket, but I keep it to where it's faced, where I practice reloading from my pocket often. And
I'll spend quite a bit of my time at the range when I'm doing reloads from the pocket. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, just keep the pocket clean, man. I've never seen any lint in my daggum magazine, so. And
I don't keep change in my pockets. I will tell you that. That's one of the risks, because if something like that. Yeah.
That's true. And again, this weird green looking thing, I don't even know why that's in my pocket. But long story short, too, I'm running the Zero belt. It's just a brilliant design. Jeff, thanks for doing all you do, buddy. Oh yeah, I didn't say which holster I'm running in. So this is the Khartoum. Isn't it the Khartoum 3, Eric?
Yep, Khartoum 3. Yep.
This is a brilliant design. It really is a great holster for both hip carry and appendix carry. Amazing adjustments with these T1 clips. I mean, lots of ways you can set that up for hip carry. And I did add a foam wedge to it, but of course I can rip that off. Whenever I gig, I carry on the hip. I hate it though. Freaking uncomfortable.
Where'd the foam wedge come from?
Mastermind. Okay. Tactical, I think.
Okay.
I actually just ordered some more because the new foam, that I really dig it, but it does compress a little bit, but it contours really well. Nice. It's pretty cool. I just think I might have cut this one a little thin. And here's another DIY thing I do. And Eric, it's from one ECQC. My Velo 4, I almost broke my my sweat guard in an Evo. And that just made it to where I kind of like I take all my sweat guards off, including my Tenacores. So yeah, that's a great holster. Now, and I'll just run this down, Eric. And essentially, if I'm slowing down and not carrying much, I'm usually carrying at least 3 things in addition to my money, my pepper spray, my knife, and then this Glock 42, and this is a JM Kydex AIWB, another great holster with the T1 mono clip, and this is my 42, which is also cleared, but basically that's just a smaller gun, like my 48 Holosun 507K Overwatch trigger. This is a great little gun. And
So,
if I'm really trying to go a little bit tighter, I'll literally just put the 6-round magazine in it.
yes,
So
sometimes you have to downgrade to a smaller package, either in a non-permissive environment, or again, many times I'm going to jujitsu and I'm in gym shorts or my gi pants. I don't wear my gi pants as much anymore. I usually change into them, but I used to do that. But I'm definitely in many cases in gym shorts or around the house. I'm in gym shorts a lot of the time. So
yeah. Well, and some audience members, I'm sure a lot of audience members know about my situation. But again, referring back to my synthetic lenses, I got heck. I think we talked about this on another show recently. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I put that Holosun 507K, excuse me, yeah, 507K on this little Glock. But man, I need that optic. So this is probably the smallest pistol you could put an optic on, and it run well. So
very cool.
I dig this little guy. So Eric, I think we should cut it pretty short. What do you strip down to?
Oh yeah, this is super easy. So I'm running this, around the house. This is if I'm in just some basic, easy Nike or some Under Armour gym shorts. I'm wearing this rig most of the time, and that typically starts with my Glock 43, running it in a keeper's errand. I think Craig had some input on this holster. You can see, man, this I need to replace the
Man,
foam wedge.
I've got a errand that I love too, and that's what my wife carries every day.
And so of course this is cleared. It's running a Overwatch trigger in it, and this has an edge connector in it too, because of exactly what you said. Just quite heavier trigger pull with my home stipple job, and I'm running the Trigicon HD sights on it, just running irons on this.
I like those.
Yeah, nice sights.
Bro, and aside, did I tell you that if I have a rear notch wide enough in the sun, I can run iron sights okay?
Yeah, it's like maybe your brain's adjusting to your lenses. I was curious if that might happen.
Well, and that's why whenever I got the backups for the Dawsons for this 48, I purposely got a fairly skinny front and a fairly wide notch in the back.
But very cool.
And yeah, I could use these in a pinch. So
Aaron, then I'm always carrying my pepper spray, my light, and my folder. And still in the house, I've got my comms on me too. So I'll always have those items on me. If I'm going to the gym, I'm at least having those items on me. And of course, wallet's going to come with me to the gym. But yeah, so that's my condensed rig.
yeah, here pretty soon I'll probably start running a 19 again, but something, I think we talked about it. Basically, eventually, I think I'm going to have Ernest Langdon put together a customized rig for me. So
He'd be my choice too, man.
didn't I say something like that? Didn't I tell Amy I was interested in that? I can't remember.
Yep. She said to make sure we talk to her first.
And I will. They keep coming out with new laser grip jobs. Man, they're cool.
Yeah.
So, well, bro, we've talked a lot tonight, and we said we would keep it to an hour, and here we are, an hour and 22 minutes is what my clock tells me. But that's because we like to talk, and every time I talk a lot to a friend or something, I say, hey, sorry I can talk a lot. That's why I have a podcast.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's been fun, bro. And I didn't say this at the beginning, but I will say this, Aaron. I had a blast at Nogi last night, and I also started my barbell focus this week. I'm a little bit sore, but I'm pretty happy this week, man. I'm typically happy, but I'm in a pretty darn good mood this week,
Sweet.
and I think it's a little bit of change, in my routines, and yeah. So this was fun as well, buddy.
Yeah, as always, bro. Well, you have a good night, and I don't want to rub it in, but I think my wife has some Coop F5 IPA in the fridge for me.
Man, I got jujitsu in the morning.
Bro, let me tell you what, I like to say this and I'll let you go. I had that awesome opportunity to hang out backstage at a Foo Fighters concert several years ago. And that's where I discovered an Oklahoma beer called Coop, C-O-O-P, and it's an F5, right, which, we're known for our tornadoes here because of that convergence of the warm front from the Gulf of Mexico. But, yeah, apparently they wanted some local beer in the chest backstage. And so someone hooked them up with some Coop beer, and that's where I got that F5 for the first time, sitting there watching the Foo. So
Cool.
Oh, I guess one more thing. So this is my Taylor Hawkins shirt. One of my favorite drummers ever. Sorry you're gone, Taylor. But hey, I wanted to say, Eric, I found a video. They had a tribute concert last week, and dude, Taylor Hawkins' son came out there and tore up.
Oh yeah,
Hero.
I saw it. Jana found it, and I went down there and watched it with her. That was
Dude,
cool.
he literally, so he looks like he's about 15 or 16 years old, and he looked like when he was playing, you could tell he was used to seeing. He looked more like Dave playing to me.
I was gonna say the same thing. Absolutely.
So, but dude, he was legit. I thought he was going to come out there and hey, play it okay. But dude, he killed it.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. Good timing and everything.
Mm-hmm. And on that sweet matte finish red DW kit. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
All
nice
right.
kit, man.
I'm rambling. Hopefully, we've still got some listeners right now. But hey, you have a good night, bro.
You too, brother. Take care, man. Love you, bro.
Love you too, brother. Bye.